What's up guys, welcome back. It's been a really long time since I've done any kind of update on this building project. And I can tell you that part of the reason is that I see this thing every single day, and so all the little things that get done, they kind of get normalized in my head. So I don't really kind of notice that something is new after a couple of days. And then I get to thinking about what's gonna come next. And I always think that it'll be better to do a video once that next step gets done. And then the next step after that. And then the next step after that. So oftentimes these kind of update videos get pushed like way late just because I kind of am hoping to get a couple more things done before finally doing another update. But anyways, here we are. Let's take a look. So the first thing I can address is that as of this recording, we still don't have electric at this building. It's been about 12 months since this whole building project started, and we literally don't have electric yet. There's a bunch of reasons for this, but long story short, to get electric to this building, we needed to trench a new electric line, and a lot of that had to just do with weather. We've had a very wet summer. I mean, it's kind of bonkers, but we've had basically springtime rain all the way through July, to the point where it's like interfering with concrete getting poured and stuff. We needed to get this like serious conduit down into the ground because this building is going to be running 3-phase 400 amps. And so the wire that goes to the pole at the street, there's going to be, obviously 3 big cables. They're about as big around as your wrist. And so you're getting this huge pipe down into the ground, running it the entire length all the way out there was about 400 feet, if not more. So that was kind of like this obstacle, obviously. And then the electric company that runs this line, they had a couple of changes that they wanted. They wanted different materials for the 90s, things like that. So that backed it up even further. And then finally just getting everything scheduled took a little while. After all of that, I kind of have a funny story to even just get power to the building even before it's even turned on. So in the background there, you can see all the guys installing the big transformer. You can see them running the lines. But once they got done with that, we need to get it inspected. Inspection went through just fine. But then we were just waiting. We don't have power yet, obviously, and I don't know when the power company is going to come back. And so a few days later, the power company does come back. And it's like, oh, this is great. We're going to finally get power into this building, right? So we're sitting in the greenhouse, working, packing corals, whatever the heck we do. And the power guy comes back into the greenhouse. He's like, you guys don't have electric here. I'm like, yeah, isn't that what you guys do? But no, he's like, no, I just install the meter socket. There's a completely separate group of guys that should be at the street to turn the power onto this building. And we're still looking blankly at this guy like, isn't that still you guys? But anyway, he says, okay, I'll make a phone call, and he goes away. About a week later, another First Energy truck comes, and it's like, oh great, we're gonna get electric. Same thing. Like, another guy says, hey, you don't have electric here. I'm like, yeah, I know. We still don't have electric. Isn't that still you guys? No. So finally we had to get this thing sorted out. For some reason the line department at First Energy thought they had flipped the switch at the street. They didn't. And it was a whole clown fiesta over that. And then now we're waiting for the electricians to come back and do all this fun stuff. So anyway, that's the story up to this point with electric. So as of right now, you can't plug anything in. So we've talked about electric. Let's talk a little bit about the Rainwater Collection system. We had the idea to have this done for a while now, but we wanted to be able to collect rainwater. I mean, partly just in case our well ever went dry. I mean, we would probably end up digging a new well anyway, but just in case, it would have been nice to have the secondary source. Also, we really like the idea of closed-loop geothermal cooling, which we will definitely be doing in that cistern. you can see when we first initially installed these tanks, it was pretty much in the dead of winter. It was brutal. These guys had to excavate and install these tanks in practically a blizzard. I have to say it was a little bit of an adventure because at one point the crane truck that was going to drop these tanks in was having a hard time even getting onto our property because the ground is wet, the ground is snowy, and this truck is very heavy, and they weren't sure that they could even get out. It was like a coin flip as to whether they were either going to sit the tanks or they're going to drive all the way back down 2 hours to Columbus and reschedule this whole thing for next year sometime. Who knows? But luckily, they were able to get the tanks in. We got our, what are those things, like just the rain gutters installed. And the thing has like a pretty interesting pre-filter. I've never really seen anything like this. It was like this German-made pre-filter. So all of the downspout lines from the rain gutters, they all collect down into one single drainage pipe, and then it goes into the centrifugal spinner. And the water that goes through the sides of the stainless steel filter is kind of like that quote-unquote clean water that then goes to the cistern. The water that's kind of like the rejected water goes straight down and then way out into the back. So I was thinking, okay, well, it's probably not going to collect that much because the water that's clean has to just go out through the sides. It's not going to be a whole lot. But one day I stood out in a little bit of a rainstorm just to watch this little vortex filter work. And I was completely amazed by how efficient it was. I'm sitting there like looking right down into it. And you can see the water swirling, and then you can literally count the drops that are getting rejected. One big thing that I'm really looking forward to in the new building versus our previous setup is how tightly we're going to be able to regulate heating and cooling. One of my problems with the greenhouse system is that we only have 2 zones for heating and cooling. One of the zones controls the floor heating. So we have a radiant floor heat. And then the other one will heat the tanks on demand. But there's 5 systems and only 1 zone, meaning that basically when this one set of tanks that has the probe in it, when that system demands heat, all 5 systems gets heat. And that's kind of a problem because there might be another system that needs heat earlier, but it's not going to get it because it doesn't have a temperature probe. Only the one system has the temperature probe to turn on the heat. I'd like to be able to control heating and cooling for each system independent of any other system. So if for instance one set of tanks in the greenhouse needs it to be cooled down while another set of tanks in the new building needs heat, it can do that. It can cool one system while heating up another one, and it just can much more tightly temperature regulate. That's one of the biggest obstacles for me anyway, because all of my systems are going to be over 1,000 gallons, and it's a lot more complicated than just plugging in a heater. I mean, that's kind of the thing about going from hobbyist-sized systems to commercial-sized systems, is that some of the technology doesn't really scale. In order to have like a plug-in heater for, let's say, a 5,000 gallon aquarium, that thing might have to be something around 9 kilowatts or something like that. You can do the equations online if you're really curious. But essentially, you really should be thinking about other technologies entirely. And so that's kind of what we ran into here. Best thing we found is to use natural gas heaters to heat it up, and this geothermal coil system for cooling it down. As far as our tanks go, I have finally picked out a custom aquarium maker. I decided to go with Reef Savvy down in Miami, and I'm excited to get these tanks. We've only ordered half of the systems so far because his production schedule is way out there into 2019 anyways. I'm kind of scared because these tanks are going to be massive. They're going to be 3/4 inch thick glass. They're going to weigh a lot. I'm not sure how we're going to get these things on and off of trucks. I don't know how we're going to get them off of the truck and into the building. One of my contractors, though, he is like one of my favorite contractors. And he's like, I've moved 36,000 pound boilers we can move these tanks no problem. It'll be easy. And I'm like, okie dokie. I have no idea how we're gonna do it, but this guy's like, trust me, it is not gonna be a big deal. You just get the right tools, everything's gonna be fine. I'm like, okay, they're really big. Anyway, so I hope he's right. I hope it's really just a matter of getting the right tools, because I was thinking one of these tanks, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be 10.5 feet long by 4 feet wide by 2 feet tall. So that's 126 by 48 by 24, okay? 3/4 inch thick glass. That thing's gonna be a beast of a tank, just a beast. And I was just thinking we might have to have like 12 to 14 big dudes with suction cups and straps and whatever to get this thing onto a stand. And this contractor's like, no, you don't want to do that. You're not gonna be able to do that safely at any point. So you're gonna want to make sure you have tooling to do all of this. And I'm like, well, okay. Oh gosh. So I don't know. That's gonna be like a fun problem to have come, I don't know, April sometime. So we'll see. Obviously, I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. While I'm a little bit squeamish yet when it comes to moving those big tanks, one thing I am not squeamish about anymore is excavation. This whole project was kind of a scare for me because I know there's all these utility lines underground from when we initially constructed the greenhouse. This was like back in 2002. I was just thinking, okay, so there's already a water line, there's a data line, there's a natural gas line, electric, like drainage lines, right? So there's all this stuff already underground. And then we're building a completely new building that's way bigger that needs all of that over again. There's so much more stuff going to this new building, and it has to all dodge the existing stuff. Well, they dodged a lot of it, and they also hit a lot of it. So far, I think that different crews have hit the water line 4 times. They've hit the gas line once, broke it, so the gas was running all night. They hit drainage stuff numerous times. One particular group, they like double tapped the same pipe in the same day. And then in trying to fix that, sawzawed through an electrical line. Having had this experience, nothing phases me when it comes to excavation anymore. It's like I've seen it all. Okay, so coming up this week, I'm hoping to have electrical done, or at least functional in the building, because that can allow the septic guy to come back and install all his stuff, because he's been waiting on electric now for, I don't know, 6 months or something. Hopefully we'll get flooring done in the upstairs. We picked out some vinyl tile for upstairs. Yeah, I mean, things are coming together. Obviously, there's a lot of delays on a project this big, but since we're looking at 2019 to get tanks anyway, a lot of this stuff, I just want to make sure just gets moving smoothly and steadily, and making sure that we don't have any regrets on things that we should have done now, and then we just regret it that we didn't do it down the road. For example, like, I don't think that we're going to need air conditioners in the main space, but if we do, I want everything to be ready for air conditioners. So just things like running some extra 240 to certain locations, things like that. I just want to make sure that all of that stuff is done with before we have thousands of gallons of operating aquariums and we're like, we need to install an air conditioner. That's pretty much it from here. I know it's been a little while, but trust me when I say it's been busy here. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will see you all next time. Happy reefing.